There's a pattern in the NFL that makes absolutely no sense, and it all revolves around one team, one quarterback, and one cruel twist of fate that keeps repeating itself like some kind of sports nightmare. The Buffalo Bills have beaten Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs 5 times in a row during the regular season. 5 straight wins, not close games. Dominant statement victories where Josh Allen looked like the best quarterback on the planet and Kansas City looked beatable. 5 times in 5 years, the Bills walked off the field against the dynasty, against the team that's been to the Super Bowl 4 times in 5 seasons, and they won. And then the calendar flipped to January, 4 playoff meetings, 4 losses, the exact same ending every single time. But on November 2nd, 2025, something changed, and it might be the reason the Bills finally break their curse. The Bills-Chiefs playoff rivalry has become one of the most lopsided in modern NFL history, and not in the way anyone in Buffalo wants to remember. Over the last 5 seasons, these two teams have met in the playoffs 4 times. Every single time, Kansas City has won. The games have been different. A heartbreaking overtime loss, a blowout, a game that slipped away in the final seconds. But the result has always been the same. 4 playoff meetings, 4 Chiefs victories. 4 seasons ending with Buffalo watching Kansas City move on toward another Super Bowl. The cruelest part isn't just the losses. It's what happens every fall before those playoff heartbreaks arrive. The Bills have beaten Kansas City 5 straight times in the regular season. 5 consecutive victories where Josh Allen looks unstoppable and Patrick Mahomes looks human. 5 times Buffalo has proven they can beat the dynasty when the games are played in October or November. And then January comes, and none of it matters. By the start of 2025, something had fundamentally changed in Buffalo. The philosophy shifted. There was no more trying to outscore everyone. No more asking Josh Allen to throw for 400 yards every Sunday. The new identity was built on James Cook running the football and a defense that created chaos without needing to blitz. Physical football, controlled football, winning football. Through 8 games, the approach was working. The Bills sat at 5-2 with a 2-game winning streak. But the skeptics had their talking points ready. Only 1 victory had come against a team with a winning record, and that was Carolina starting their backup quarterback. Buffalo could beat bad teams, but what would happen against Kansas City? November 2nd was going to provide the answer. What unfolded that night changed the entire narrative. The first drive of the game told you everything you needed to know about what Buffalo was trying to do. They didn't come out throwing deep shots. They didn't try to prove Josh Allen was better than Patrick Mahomes right away. They just methodically drove down the field, mixing runs with short passes, chewing up the clock, and making Kansas City defend every single yard. And then, on a perfectly executed play-action pass, Allen hit Dalton Kincaid for a 23-yard touchdown. 7 plays, 70 yards, over 4 minutes off the clock. It was the first time all season Allen had thrown a touchdown pass that traveled at least 20 yards in the air. The Bills weren't just scoring, they were making a statement about what kind of game this was going to be. Kansas City tried to answer, but something was wrong. Patrick Mahomes was under pressure constantly, not from exotic blitzes or confusing coverages, just from 4 guys up front who refused to let him get comfortable. Joey Bosa was living in the backfield. By the end of the night, he had recorded 1 sack and 3 quarterback hits. The Bills would finish with 15 total hits on Mahomes, the most against him in a regular season game. The chaos was real, but led by multiple defenders including A.J. Epinesa, not just Bosa. And then when Mahomes had time to throw, the coverage was suffocating. Maxwell Hairston, a rookie playing just his 2nd NFL game, was matched up against Xavier Worthy, one of the fastest receivers in football. The kid didn't just survive, he thrived, running stride for stride with a speedster who'd set combine records, never giving Mahomes a window to attack. Hairston's game-sealing interception capped the Bills' defensive heroics. By halftime, Buffalo had built a 21-13 lead, and they'd done it by averaging 7 yards per play. More importantly, they controlled the clock for nearly 19 minutes. Kansas City's offense, which had been averaging nearly 30 points per game over the last 3 wins, looked frustrated and out of rhythm. The third quarter brought Buffalo's most impressive drive of the season. James Cook ran through, around, and over Kansas City defenders. The offensive line was winning every battle. And when the Chiefs loaded the box to stop the run, Allen found Elijah Moore for a 28-yard gain that set up what would become the game-winning touchdown. Cook finished the night with 114 rushing yards on 27 carries. The number itself was impressive, but the context made it historic. He became the first running back to rush for over 100 yards against Kansas City in 33 regular season games. The Chiefs' defense, which had been suffocating against the run all year, got physically dominated by a Bills rushing attack that wouldn't be denied. Allen was surgical. He completed 23 of 26 passes for 273 yards, setting a franchise record with an 88.5% completion percentage. But the efficiency wasn't just about short throws and checkdowns. He had 3 passes that went for 25-plus yards, the most Buffalo had hit all season. 2 of those went to tight ends, a 47-yard strike to Kincaid and a 28-yard gain to Dawson Knox. The tight ends combined for 8 catches and 149 yards, completely changing the math for Kansas City's defense. And Mahomes, he finished 15 of 34 for 250 yards and 1 interception, a 44.1% completion percentage, the worst single-game regular season completion rate of his career. When the Bills pressured him, which they did on 52.6% of his dropbacks, he completed just 3 of 16 passes for 61 yards. The dynasty looked mortal. But Kansas City never goes away quietly. They scored a touchdown late in the fourth quarter to cut the lead to 7 points and got the ball back with a chance to tie. 4th down and 17. Mahomes scrambled 29 yards, the longest 4th down conversion of his career, extending the drive and eventually leading to another touchdown that made it 28-21 with just over 4 minutes left. This was the moment. The exact scenario where the Bills had crumbled in January time and time again. Kansas City had momentum. Mahomes had magic. All the old demons were right there, ready to haunt Buffalo again. 3rd and 10. Mahomes drops back. Joey Bosa came screaming off the edge, forcing a hurried throw downfield toward Xavier Worthy. And Maxwell Hairston, the rookie in just his 2nd game, went up and made the play of his life. Interception, game over. When the clock hit 0, the scoreboard read 28-21. Buffalo had just done something they'd been trying to do for 5 years. They beat Kansas City by playing their style of football. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like maybe this year was really different. Winning 1 game in November doesn't ease 4 playoff losses. Everyone in Buffalo knows that. But the way the Bills won this game revealed something that matters more than just another tally in the win column. They didn't win by Josh Allen playing hero ball. They didn't win by scheming up trick plays or catching Kansas City off guard. They won by imposing their will for 60 minutes, running the football when Kansas City knew the run was coming, pressuring Mahomes with 4 rushers while everyone else played sound coverage, converting 3rd downs, controlling the clock, playing complementary football where the offense gave the defense rest and the defense gave the offense short fields. This was the blueprint, the identity, the exact style of football that wins championships in January when the weather turns and the margin for error disappears. The timing couldn't be more important because the AFC landscape in 2025 looks completely different than anyone expected. Kansas City, the dynasty that's been to 4 Super Bowls in 5 years, sits at 5-4. They're in 3rd place in their own division. The invincibility is gone. Meanwhile, the New England Patriots are 8-2 and leading the AFC West. Yes, that Patriots team, the one everyone wrote off. They're playing with house money and a cupcake schedule, but they keep winning. The Bills now trail them by 1.5 games, but Buffalo owns the head-to-head tiebreaker from their earlier victory. And then there's Indianapolis. The Colts are 8-2 with Daniel Jones at quarterback, playing maybe the best football of his career in his new home. Their offense is scoring at an elite rate, 34.3 points per game, 2nd in the NFL. They're not supposed to be this good, but here they are, legitimate Super Bowl contenders in their own right. The Bills sit right in the middle of this chaos at 6-3. 2 head-to-head wins over the teams everyone thought would be the class of the conference. A 2-game winning streak, momentum, belief, everything you'd want heading into the stretch run. Except for one glaring problem that isn't going away. Buffalo doesn't have a true number 1 receiver. Khalil Shakir caught 7 passes against Kansas City for just 43 yards. Nice player, but he's not scaring anyone. Dalton Kincaid had 101 yards receiving in this game, But he's alternated big performances with disappearing acts all season. The Bills' leading receiver is on pace for approximately 800 yards in 17 games. Kincaid's at 448 through 8 games. That's not just bad for a team with Super Bowl aspirations, it's nearly impossible to overcome. Josh Allen is being asked to spread the ball around and hope someone gets hot. Against bad defenses, that works. Against Kansas City's defense, it worked because the tight ends had career games and the running game was unstoppable. But what happens in January when the Bills face a great defense that takes away the run and forces Allen to beat them through the air with a collection of number 3 receivers? The question lingered even in victory. And then there was the injury that put a damper on everything. Michael Hoyt, the defensive end Buffalo signed in the offseason to provide depth and veteran leadership, was lost for the season with a torn Achilles in the same game. Depth matters. The Bills had already lost their top 3 defensive tackles earlier in the year. Now, their defensive line depth, which had been a strength against Kansas City, is being tested again. Staying healthy in the NFL is never guaranteed, but for a Bills team that's been ravaged by defensive injuries for years, losing Hoyt felt like a cruel reminder that the margin for error remains razor thin. Still, none of that changes what happened on November 2nd. The Bills proved they could beat Kansas City playing their brand of football. They proved Josh Allen could be efficient instead of spectacular and still get the win. They proved a rookie cornerback could step up in the biggest moment. They proved their identity wasn't just a regular season gimmick. But proving it once and proving it when everything is on the line are two very different things. So, are the Buffalo Bills legit Super Bowl contenders? The answer is yes, but it comes with the same asterisk that's followed this franchise for a half a decade. Everything about this team screams championship caliber. Josh Allen is playing the most mature football of his career, taking what the defense gives him instead of forcing magic on every play. James Cook is running like a man possessed, on pace for nearly 1,750 rushing yards, giving Buffalo a dimension they haven't had in years. The defense just held Patrick Mahomes to one of his worst games in the regular season without sending exotic blitzes or taking unnecessary risks. The coaching staff has built an identity and stuck with it even when the doubters got loud. These are the ingredients that win in January: physical football, complementary football, defense that can pressure elite quarterbacks without selling out, a running game that controls the clock and wears down opponents, a quarterback who makes the right play instead of the spectacular one. Buffalo has it all. But being a contender and being a champion are separated by the thinnest of margins, and the Bills know that better than anyone. They've been contenders before. They've had magical regular seasons before. They've beaten Patrick Mahomes before. But what they haven't done is win when the calendar turns and the dynasty shows up in the playoffs with everything on the line. And now, the narrative is complicated. Just a week after their statement win over Kansas City on November 2nd, the Bills traveled to Miami and suffered a 30-13 defeat. The Dolphins, a team with a losing record entering the game, exposed cracks in Buffalo's offensive line, limited James Cook to just 53 yards, and forced 3 turnovers. Suddenly, all the confidence and momentum from the Chiefs' victory met a reality check. November victories are meaningful, but they don't erase inconsistencies or injuries, and they don't guarantee January success. The AFC is still wide open. Kansas City looks vulnerable. The Patriots are a feel-good story that nobody truly fears. The Colts are impressive but unproven. The path to the Super Bowl might be as clear as it will get for Buffalo. But paths don't matter if you can't walk them when the pressure is highest and the margin for error disappears completely. The November 2nd game proved Buffalo could win playing their brand of football. The November 9th loss proved that executing it consistently against any team, elite or average, remains the challenge. For all the things the Bills do right, efficiency over heroics, a physical run game, rookie corners stepping up, they also have vulnerabilities that could derail a championship run. In January, the Bills will get their answer. Either they'll finally exorcise the demons that have haunted them for 5 years, or they'll add another chapter to the cruelest story in modern NFL history. In the end, the November 2nd win was important. The November 9th loss was sobering. And in 2 months, we'll see if that combination of promise and fragility is enough to make Buffalo champions.